And welcome back to the Hot Lap. We are talking WRC and are finally getting around to our WRC Finland winners and losers. What an interesting penultimate stage. Super stage at 19 it was, with obviously Evans doing a whoopsie and Kalle Rovanperä doing the biggest whoopsie moments from home. After that, just one stage left, almost in sight. And it went horribly wrong, but it wasn't necessarily Calle's fault. An errant stone right in the middle of the stage. The gravel. I don't think there's anything, to be fair, that he could have done about that, which really sucks if you're a Kalle fan. So let's get into then our winners and losers of what was, I think, quite the interesting rally. It most certainly wasn't boring. I guess Kalle was kind of dominating in a way, but still, there's plenty to talk about. And let's first of all have a look at the Toyota drivers, shall we? And one Toyota driver in particular, the man that won, the unlikely winner, funnily enough, Seb Ogier. Yes, really impressive performance, but he wasn't the best guy in Finland, was he? So it wasn't classic Ogier, because Kalle was, well, let's be fair, Kalle had it comfortably in his hands, didn't it, to see these two legends at it. But he was the one that, to finish first you have to finish. And his last victory in Finland is all the way back in 2013. So I guess the way he won, I think even he himself came out and said, I'd rather have finished second because of poor Kalle. But he did have a controlled performance. He beat everyone else but Kalle, ultimately Kalle in the end. But up until SS19, he was ahead of pretty much everyone else. And I think it will gripe at him that, he did win, but he knew he was beaten despite kind of like winning. But yeah, so I think a solid result for Ogier, but not world class, not exactly world beating. But we've gone from world beating world class to, is my world championship completely over Elfyn Evans? So Evans was thereabouts as the rally started, I think, on Friday, as we got under the serious end of the rally. And he was, to a certain extent, keeping the pressure on his teammate. He had a decent pace. And let's be fair, he really needed to. He needed to have a big rally this weekend, just as we've been saying for the last two rallies. But I think when Rovanperä on Saturday, he seemed to find another gear that Evans just couldn't. And then he had that perplexing retirement on Saturday, which was a really odd failure from Toyota's point of view. And they're going to be investigating that. But then Evans turned to Sunday. He needed a win on Sunday. Something that Hyundai have been really good at, scoring all those points. Yeah, we got to SS19. He was looking in the zone, possibly. He was coming out fighting on the Sunday until that first turn in SS19. And it went wrong, didn't it? It was, come on. So I think, for me, one of the poorest performances we've seen in a long time from Elfyn Evans. Super disappointed in you, Elfyn. Is his championship over? Probably. To the point where, and I say probably, because I feel he can still win it, but I can't help but feel that he needs to things need to happen outside his control for him to win it, as in like people going out, people making mistakes. It's not like he can go, I'm going to win all the other rallies, etc. I kind of feel that he needs to have things happen around him and do a really good result for him to have a chance of winning this championship, to the point where Toyota seem to have given up on him winning the championship because they're asking Ogier, who is now closest, obviously, to Neuville in the points. And they're going to be asking him, I imagine, to take up the slack, so to speak. But I don't want to trash Evans too much, because I think he's a really good driver. Let's be fair. He's one of the best. I mean, this guy came second only to Kalle last year, nearly won the title in 2020. He is a world-class driver. We can't just say a world-class championship driver yet. And I hope that is me saying yet when I look back in years to come. I'll be like, well, we don't have to say yet anymore. But I don't know at this point if I'd bet the farm on it, so to speak. So that's Elfyn Evans. So let's talk about the other Toyota driver. I just need to find it. I need to find him on my list. He's gone. He's disappeared. Just like his victory did. So you've really got a feel for this guy. He has had quite a bit of bad luck over the past few years at his home rally. Yes, he did. I mean, when you look at the last 4 years, he's crashed out of 3 or 4 of them. But to be fair, this one was absolutely unavoidable. There was nothing he could have done. He was driving brilliant. Once he got in control of the pace, he was measured. He wasn't taking too many silly risks. And it was his rally to lose until SS19. And then he hit that stone. And then it was over. And now he's got 12 more months to wait. So I don't think it's going to play on his mind, though, as it maybe will with Evans, his teammate, because it wasn't his fault. There's nothing he could have done. It wasn't like he made a mistake. So more to come from Calais. See you again next year in Finland, I think. Fingers crossed, mate. I really hope you do. He deserves it. He deserves to get that win. Absolutely he does. So let's talk about Katsuta. So he made a mistake, and maybe unforgivable, but he's looking so far, he's looking less and less like a rally winner at the moment. I mean, we've got his pace, his his some of his decision making, and when you compare him to even like Elvin Evans, but Calais and Ogier, they do seem to be in another class, to the point where he's been around Toyota long enough now that you can't help but feel that we haven't seen the jump that most would-be rally champions would have made with Katsuta. Maybe that's a bit unfair. I don't know. What do you think? Comment below. Let me know. But I think that's kind of fair. And we kind of saw the second half classic Katsuta here, which is meh. If I was to describe him by a word, and yeah, it was disappointing, wasn't it? So let's talk about Sami Pajari. I don't have a picture for him, sadly. But wow, these young drivers. I mean, they are, after Martin Cesp, they are really showing up the old guard on how to do a rally, which makes you wonder, should there be more young people in WRC1? Obviously, the issue being is there's not enough teams. 3 teams. I mean, not good enough, really. In Formula 1, you've got 10 teams. In IndyCar, you've got over 10. And all these massive, big championships, you have multiple. You can pretty much just about count them on 2 hands. You might need more in some, in terms of teams, meaning at least 20 cars. For example, even the touring car has 20 cars. They have hybrid. Yeah, I know hybrid. We've talked about that before. And that's the problem with these young people. But let's get back to Pajari. And a lot of people were really impressed from Friday morning. He made that little mistake, but then he put it behind him, didn't he? He has had testing in the Rally 1 car, and I imagine he did feel fairly comfortable. But then came the conditions when it rained on his parade. I mean, it was like slithering like a snake. But he was able to refocus, and his attention changed from getting through stages, but was a decent pace, and to just getting his car back to service. He was basically driving to survive, and he did just that. He had a good performance through Saturday and Sunday, finishing as funny enough, the highest placed Finn after Calais' whoops-a-daisy. So I think he can be really, I think he should, and he can be really, really happy. So back to the, I don't want to say old guard, but the normal guard, but, business resumed as usual. Terry Neville, he demonstrated that, once again, he doesn't make many mistakes. He's tenacious. He's like a bulldog. He does not let go. He never gives up, despite the fact that at one point it looked like he might be off the podium. And this was classic Neuville. I mean, does this look like our 2024 champion? Potentially. Also, thanks to those points, but we'll talk about that another day. The Sunday points. Yeah, I'm going to roll my eyes every time at that. So it's looking very much, to be fair, after his finish, it's looking very much his to lose, unless he makes a mistake, which, as we know, can happen any time, at any turn in the rally, or something goes wrong with the car. But absolutely, really, 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 really solid there. Yeah, not quite on Calais' level, but he finished. He had the better luck. Some may say you make your own luck throughout the season. And it wouldn't surprise me if we're sitting here at the end of November saying Neuville, after Japan, is this year's Rally World Champion. He hasn't got a hand on it yet. I think he's got the tips of a couple of fingers maybe, on the actual trophy itself. So we'll have to see. But well done, Neuville. So let's talk about his teammate that did not finish the rally, did the absolute opposite of what I thought it was going to be. He crashed out on the third stage of the rally, and it was a proper crash. I mean, he tried to take out a tree. He didn't. Those birches are quite strong, as some commenter commented on the video we talked about the crash. But this seems to be classic Tanak in 2024. All or nothing, which is what we like. Hey, Colin McRae, when in doubt, flat out, etc. But this does seem to be classic Tanak. And his championship hopes are severely compromised to the point now where I think if Seb Ogier decides to go full-time for the rest of the season, you start to have to wonder whether Hyundai are going to get itchy feet and think, oh, you know, Tanak, you're going to have to help out Norville to win the championship. But what does that mean from him? I mean, he's going to really... it's going to be interesting to see in about, I think, 4 weeks' time almost, what is going to happen at the next rally. I think that's going to be... I think it's Greece, isn't it? I think that's going to be a massive test for Tanak. If he comes back and wins that, that'll be amazing. It would be fantastic Tanak. Tenacious Tanak, if you will. So let's talk about Hyundai's other guy, and also Sweden's winner, Lappi. Now, he was really good on Friday. He was the best of the Hyundais on the Friday, on a track where Finland, that, to be fair, the Toyotas seem to be a lot more comfortable. But then he had that mistake on Saturday. Whoops a daisy, another one hitting a tree. Although, I mean, Hyundais seem to be magnets for trees, didn't they? For the first couple of days of the rally. But, yeah, not particularly great. But he looked good. He looked a bit better on Sunday. But another bad weekend for Lappi. So you start to have to wonder, in terms of his performances, is he inconsistent? But then again, he's a part-timer at the moment, so it's quite difficult. But he bounced back to score a bundle of points for Hyundai, so they're going to be smiling. I mean, to be fair, it was looking really good for Toyota, wasn't it? Until Sunday late morning, and then it looked really good for Hyundai. So I mean, I think Hyundai are ultimately going to be quite happy for him. So let's talk about M Sport drivers now, and let's talk about this man here. He was not bad again, was he? He was not bad again. He's showing he finishes rallies. He's kind of like a discounted Neuville in terms of he's tenacious. He never gives up. He's not quite there at the pace, but some of that could be the car. And he's not bad at all. It's Adrian Former, his fourth podium of the year, and that now puts him, because of that absolute epic failure at Finland, of within touching distance of both Tanak and Evans. Formo perhaps thinking unrealistically has his sights set on challenging the title this year. Stranger things have happened, unlikely, but he could finish on the championship podium. Could he finish in the top three? Maybe. He does need to find a little more pace. I think the M Sport is very much the third car lagging behind, but he doesn't make as many. It seems he does not make as many mistakes as the others, and I think he should be really, really happy for that. So let's talk about the other Ford driver, Monster. Yeah, not great, really, is it? I mean, yeah. I'm starting to think that he's filling a seat where a bunch of more talented people could maybe be there next year, unless he steps it up. And he absolutely needs to. He needs to step it up. Don't get me wrong, he's a million times better than I ever am. I just talk about it. But yeah, I think Monster very much needs to step it up, doesn't he? Disappointing, really. He hasn't really improved. Kind of like Katsuta, like I said about him there. He hasn't improved as much as we thought he would. The absolute same, but extremely more. Add like the Katsuta comment and add like another 50 to 70%, because we haven't seen improvements. It kind of like up and down. But when you compare this rally to one of his first, to the first couple of the season, it's the same. Not really too much improved. So that's pretty much our winners and losers, rated and slated, were the drivers today for Rally Finland. Sorry it's a bit late. There's not much I can do about that. We ended up going on holiday. Seeing a baby, which was absolutely lovely, family first and all that. But great to get that, great to be back, and absolutely great to have a chat with you about the winners and losers of Rally Finland. Give us a subscribe if you are not, so you don't you know, so you don't miss a video. And if you want to be absolutely sure you don't miss a video, hit that notification button. Comment below, let us know on who you thought the best and worst drivers of the rally were, or whether I'm just being really harsh on Tanak, Katsuta and Evans and Munster. I don't think so, but let me know. Speak to you soon. Thank you very much.